Lewis Hamilton's 47 words of radio silence following Baku qualifying were louder than words, and they raised three key questions which might define the future of Ferrari. Why was Hamilton's unequivocal request for strategy ignored whilst Charles Leclerc's was accommodated? How did a team, which had displayed such good pace all practice, come to both cars finishing in P10 and P12? And perhaps most urgently, only a few months into his Ferrari tenure, is Hamilton already wondering whether he made the right choice in committing to Maranello? What happened in Baku was not just another Ferrari planning blunder. It revealed an underlying tendency for poor decision-making that left their seven-time world champion clearly exasperated and skeptical of the team's direction. The weekend had started with promise, Ferrari appearing competitive at each practice session, and even Hamilton himself reporting the car to feel powerful. But as he was forced to concede after qualifying, the strategic approach Ferrari took, one that, on paper, seemed perfect, ended up being calamitous, transforming what could have been a watershed weekend into a salutary reminder of the team's continued woes. During Hamilton's crucial Q2 run, Leclerc made a critical error at Turn 1 that completely ruined Hamilton's flying lap. Instead of giving Hamilton fresh tires like they did for Leclerc, Ferrari left their seven-time world champion out on the same worn soft tires, while Leclerc got a fresh set of mediums. Hamilton was explicit about what he wanted as he explained post-qualifying. "I wanted to come in for a hot pit stop like Leclerc, but the team said that the warm-up was too long," or something like that. "So then we run out of time and run out of fuel." The frustration in his voice was unmistakable when he added, "Not great, but we'll take it internal." The numbers tell the complete story of Ferrari's weekend collapse. With McLaren struggling and both and championship contender Oscar Piastri crashing in Q3, Ferrari had a golden opportunity to secure front row positions. Instead, they managed to qualify both cars outside the top 10. Hamilton in P10 and LLC in P12. On the surface, you might think this was just another case of Ferrari's famous strategic blunders. Hamilton even seemed to accept some responsibility, acknowledging it was his choice in terms of the tires for Q2. But the deeper analysis reveals something far more concerning for Ferrari's championship ambitions. But here's the revelation that makes this weekend truly significant. Hamilton's growing disillusionment with his Ferrari move is becoming impossible to ignore. Earlier in the week, the seven-time world champion had revealed his true feelings about the transition, stating, "I would say this time it's not been as exciting as my previous move from McLaren to Mercedes because we've moved over for the next season so early, and so you're then just stuck with what you have for the year." This is where Hamilton's comments become truly damaging for Ferrari. He continued, "So, it makes this season less exciting because you're not getting developments. We're going to see out the rest of the year with what we have, but then next year will be an exciting one because there will be lots of upgrades throughout." The weekend analysis reveals that Ferrari's problems run deeper than just strategy. According to the race report, the changes made to the car have probably returned the undrivable car back. This suggests that Ferrari's technical development is moving backwards, not forwards. But the most telling moment came in Hamilton's final assessment, "But that's Ferrari for you." Those 5 words carry the weight of decades of Ferrari disappointments. And now, they're coming from their star. Signing the evidence suggests this isn't an isolated incident, but part of a troubling pattern. The analysis notes that both Hamilton and Leclerc are put in a position where they have to defend the strategies of their team on a weekly basis. This creates a toxic dynamic where drivers become apologists for organizational failures. For LLC, the situation is equally problematic. Despite scoring all of the podiums for Ferrari in 2025, he crashed in Q3 at a crucial moment when pole position was within reach. The analysis suggests that with every day passing by as a Ferrari driver in his prime, doubts will keep rising as to whether or not he believes that this is the team with which he can raise his maiden championship. The comparison to Max Verstappen is stark and revealing, as noted in the analysis. Even when he is not in competition for the championship, he never fails to capitalize on the opportunity and seize a pole position or a race win. At the end of the day, that's what Leclerc lacks, and that's probably what Hamilton is killing to have in Ferrari. The timing of this crisis couldn't be worse for Ferrari. With the 2026 regulation changes approaching, Ferrari needs to build trust and momentum with their driver lineup. Instead, the dissatisfaction in their drivers is growing, and it might even push Leclerc to seek another option outside of the team that brought him to the level he is today. For Hamilton specifically, the situation is becoming untenable. At this stage of his career, he doesn't have time to wait for Ferrari to figure out their operational issues. The analysis points out that Hamilton is still very much in doubt about the car's capabilities, and that putting him in impossible situations like Baku is just too much. The broader question becomes, can Ferrari afford to waste a season with arguably the best lineup on paper on the grid? The evidence suggests they're not just failing to maximize their potential. They're actively damaging the confidence and motivation of two world-class drivers. This brings us to the critical questions that will define Ferrari's immediate future. First, will Ferrari's management recognize that their operational failures are creating a crisis of confidence with their drivers? The pattern of strategic errors and communication breakdowns isn't sustainable with drivers of Hamilton and Leclerc's caliber. Second, how long will Hamilton's patience last? His comments about being stuck with the current situation suggest his frustration is already approaching dangerous levels. If Ferrari continues to fail him strategically, will he begin to distance himself mentally from the project? Third, and perhaps most importantly, what happens if Ferrari's 2026 reset fails to deliver? The analysis notes that Ferrari won't have nearly as much trust as needed in their team to make it work if current patterns continue. Trust once lost is incredibly difficult to rebuild in Formula One. The evidence from Baku suggests Ferrari is at a crossroads. They can either address these fundamental operational issues and rebuild confidence with their drivers, or they risk watching their championship dreams slip away despite having the talent to succeed. What we know for certain is that Ferrari can't afford many more weekends like Baku. The combination of technical regression, strategic failures, and driver frustration creates a perfect storm that could derail their entire 2026 project before it even begins. The question isn't whether Ferrari can bounce back from Baku. It's whether they'll learn from it before it's too late.